we are up to episode 4, and quite frankly, okay. Okay, so here's the thing about this show as I start to fluff you. It's a very controversial show. People have called it pornish, porn, sexually exploitative, wrong, protest it. To be honest, all the people that I know that are watching it, including critics, are like, it's not that, it's very much, a cancel culture talking point, if you want to say, like, end it. It's horrible. It's it's dark, and it is dark. And one of the things that I think why people think it's dark, is that the character who's most abused, Lily Rose Depp, Jocelyn, we don't care about her. We feel bad for her. We wish that that didn't happen to anybody, that they didn't get swept up by a cult leader, that they didn't have mental health issues and no one to really help them. But she has no personality beyond the abuse. And I think that's why, for a lot of people, it feels very sexually exploitative and toxic. She has no agency or voice, but in terms of what's happening to her, but she also doesn't have it as a human being. Like, she's not somebody that we like brunch. We know that she's famous. We know that people follow her and would die to hear her music. But we're also like, really? Because she's cool. I mean, she's okay. She's all right. And it's something that happened in Blonde, and which is why that film got particularly bashed and smashed by critics, understandably so, and was particularly criticized as sexually explicit for no reason. And it's because, at least with Marilyn Monroe, we'll use as an example, which this series is created by The Weeknd and Sam Levinson, and you could see that they want to make Jocelyn appear like a modern day Marilyn, but she doesn't have the personality. She's beautiful and empty, but not empty in like a existential kind of way. She's like empty in a way of like, oh, Jocelyn's coming? She's coming this weekend? Who invited her? You're like, she's just there. She's a plant. And with Marilyn, when that happened in Blonde, which I reviewed, Blonde was beautiful, and I get what they wanted to do. They wanted to call out an industry that exploits beautiful women and abuses them. But women have personalities, they have souls, they have hearts, they have feelings, they have thoughts. And to take that away from Marilyn Monroe, who is probably the smartest woman in the room, because she understood that sex sells, and she wanted to be famous, she wanted money, she wanted to be safe, and understood, in some ways, as tragic as it is, especially for early Hollywood, that you have to feel safe in the unsafe. You have to use your body as a weapon and as a money factory for these men that they only want to pour money into your body. And that was the grossness. To be so aware of the abuse and feel so chained to it, unable to escape it, that you feel you have to manipulate it. You have to work in it. Not even work through it, work in it. To get something beneficial. To get oddly safe. To get oddly elevated. To get that money and fame. And, I'm going to have finger cord cut today. I just felt like doing that. Just taking out the negativity, because this is a dark topic, and it's a true topic. It's a true topic for women. It's a true topic for people that are learning to maneuver possibly traumatic relationships that they're in with their family, with their friends, with themselves. That self-destruction and this belief that you can micromanage abuse to get to better from another person, a better place with yourself, a safer place. And what's crazy about the Marilyn story of Blonde is that they made her dumb and thoughtless and just abused. And that's the same thing that happens in The Idol with Jocelyn. She's just abused. She's nothing else. She's not funny. She's not thoughtful. She's not exactly wise. She just cries. And anybody, I think one of the tragedies of depression, especially people who unfortunately commit, unalive themselves, or um, like Marilyn, just go on such a self-destructive path, is that they are fun, they are bright, they are smart, they are aware, they just are not healing. You don't lose your personality when you're depressed. You're depressed because you feel your personality isn't seen. Your personality isn't worth it. Your ego makes you feel like, what's the point of having a spirit in a world that can be so soulless? And the thing is, by episode 4, we don't feel like we know who Jocelyn is as a soul. And I watch a lot of behind the scenes. And one of the things that I was laughing with my friends is that I felt like they really thought they were saying something and they didn't, especially Sam Levinson coming off of the high of euphoria. Let's keep on plucking, shall we? I'm just going to chip. He's coming off the high of euphoria where there is a sense of, we know Rue, even though she's a liar. We know these characters, even though they're teenagers and they're lost, and half the time they change their personality in one episode. To come off the high off of such a pop cultural event, pop culture show, and make this, which is about pop culture, you're kind of like, you really had a chance and you blew it, and you'll get another chance, because once you're in that level of fame, with that level of network, you can make a failure and still get another opportunity. And I think with The Weeknd too, this was clearly a moment of like, I can do it, so I'll do it, but I shouldn't have. He's not a good actor. Maybe he'll get good and eventually in a few more movies or TV shows. He has the network and power to grow before us. Whereas someone else will just have to be good from the start, or be good enough to even get the chance. But I felt like one thing, I understood what he was trying to say with the industry, as somebody who has worked in the industry myself, as a critic, just doing freelance PR. It is a toxic environment in the sense of everybody's fake, nobody cares. People are just trying to get to another destination, get to someone more powerful, become someone more powerful, and you are just another link in the chain that they have to go through. And eventually, if you're not tugging hard enough, they will break you off the chain. And I think what he's trying to call out is the cruelty of that. And I get it. But one thing I've always said about the industry, let's go back to fluffing with some unicorn amethyst, I want to say. This is all about joy. I've always found fascinating about the industry is that, yes, it's fake. Yes, people are lying to you. You don't even know half the time why people cut you off or let you in. But it is an industry about money. It is a business. And one of the hard things I think it attracts a lot of mentally unhealthy people. I think artists can be naturally mentally unhealthy. And we're commodifying pain because we all turn to, and if you watch My Music Life Coach, especially, I think tomorrow I'm premiering You Forget, my discussion about my new single, out June 29th. And I do oracle polls based on what is inspiring me musically. So that's all about my song and what inspired it. I was talking about in that video that comes out tomorrow, I was talking about like how, yes, people can be fake, and we use our music to kind of have catharsis and release, or at least put down the reality of our feelings, even if we don't necessarily release them. It's just kind of concretizing and solidifying them. And some people do feel release. Some people are like Amy Winehouse, she would constantly put down what she felt, and in doing that, she fed it because she didn't exactly go off and heal it. And we're commodifying pain because for a lot of artists, if you notice, and I've remarked about it in a lot of interviews, there are not a lot of songs about happiness and about falling in love. There are a lot of songs out there about depression and feeling stuck, especially as youth. And I think that there's an expectation that in an industry that commodifies people's hearts, what people are feeling, that we would have more respect and care and grace for those feelings, that we'd make way for helping people feel better. And the truth is, no, it really is all about money. And it's about getting more money and getting more power and getting more influence. And how can you manipulate anything, especially feelings, to get more people's feelings on your songs, on your topics, on who you are? Because that's money. Money is feelings in this industry. And I think that that's one of the most difficult parts for artists, especially people who want a label to back them, rightfully so, who want to be seen in the public eye. There's this expectation that, but if the world sees me, it's because they agree with me. It's because they support me. It's because they're validating me. And then you're still empty. And that's one thing that definitely Jocelyn goes through. This consistent emptiness of how can I be the brightest star to have no light left? And I think the problem is, as an audience, we're just seeing her down. We're not seeing what makes her light. We just know the world supports her. We're not seeing why they did. And I think The Weeknd just went immediately into criticizing the industry and calling it out for that aspect, forgetting that we should build a character and we should build a world, not just like a peephole to see it. Because it is pretty cold and crass, and it's very casually so. And I think with Tedros especially, the industry is just a batch of cults, really. It's when you work in terms of influence and power and how to manipulate the masses to believe someone is this, to follow that song, to listen. It is very cultish, and it naturally, an artist will fall into that trap because they are the artist, but they have a team. And they have a team of publicists, managers, people trying to take care of them while not caring if they don't take care of themselves. If I invest in your fitness, I'm investing money for you to look good. If I invest in a therapist, I'm investing in money for you to heal yourself. But if you don't do that, that's on you. Just make the song. And that's an aspect that is 100% true about this music industry. But I also feel like artists that are at his level kind of get a little arrogant and feel they're calling out the industry for what it is without necessarily analyzing if they're a part of that. And how much can you benefit from that nature and say you're not feeding it. And I recommend all artists entering this industry, which is why sometimes I have like hesitancy to just like check yourselves, check in on yourself, do everything out of love, because this industry does not love you. They will care about you, and you will meet a lot of kind people. There's always the negative, the vultures, but there are a lot of good people that will be friendly with you and genuinely kind. And there are also a lot of, everybody's just trying to do their job, and their job is to make you a star. And if you don't feel that way, you are going to be alone in that journey, and you would be alone anyway. Self-love is all about you loving you, but it's just not, you'll be surprised how little access to help you have. And he totally talks about that. And I think it's a good show. It's just not a great show. I think it talks about toxicity without necessarily revealing the layers of why toxic is. Toxic happens because bad people attack good people. They abuse good people. They abuse innocence. And you don't get the feeling with Jocelyn that she's anything. You don't get that she's innocent or fun or thoughtful. She's just sad. And you're just like, okay, okay. You have to be sad and good for toxicity to really strike. Or at least in terms of story for us to care. And that's unfortunate but true. So we're done, people, with this Reiki session. I really hope that you watch me, and you can watch Idol too on HBO Max every Sunday at 9. Oh, right, it's Max now.